Tuesday, and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. I'm Mary Morton, and along with my buddy Chad Fellers, we have casual talk about the challenges and successes in medical affairs with the most exciting and impactful professionals in pharma. As always, we have another great one for you today, so stick around.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of MSLead Chronicles. I am your host, Chad Fellers, with my nifty sidekick, Mary Morton. How are you, Mary?
I'm terrific. How are you doing? Don't I sound
I'm
terrific?
good. You have a little postnasal drip or something like that might be going on. I'm not sure exactly. What have you been doing?
Well, I think I don't travel. I had this conversation with somebody earlier today, actually. I don't travel as much as you guys do. So I
Yeah.
don't think that I'm accustomed to being in different, around different allergens and whatnot. So I don't bounce back, I guess, as well as you guys do. So yeah,
Well,
I was up like all night sneezing. I mean, it was the strangest thing, but
you've got to tell us more now. Like, where did you go? Did you do something fun, or you traveled? So where'd you go? Anything fun?
well, I mean, just between Texas is huge. So
Yeah.
I'm in Dallas today or Frisco, but what the kind of plants and stuff we have in Austin are so different from what's up here in Dallas. And then I was just up in Norman a couple weeks ago, dropping Liam off, also totally different. And then, Paige and I went up to Toronto to go see Oasis, which I'm actually ironically wearing
Ooh.
my Oasis shirt today, and totally different stuff up there and then back. So back and
Well,
forth, back
I
and
know
forth.
there's definitely some kind of allergic reaction for a Sooner versus a Longhorn too. So that's probably the driver of it. Would be my
I would have expected
guess.
I would have expected this when I was up there, but
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't.
Well,
Speaking of Norman, College Game Day, ESPN College Game Day was in Norman this weekend,
yeah.
and Liam was they camp out all night to be in the front row.
Yep.
So he was camped out all night until about 5:30 in the morning. Like literally, that was 2.5 hours. I think they started airing at 8 or maybe 9. He couldn't take it anymore. At 5:30 in the morning, he went back to his door after
Wow.
being there all night. I don't know, man. I wouldn't have done
Yeah.
that, but if I had done that, I would have stuck it out the extra hours.
I mean, maybe it's another teaching opportunity about sense of commitment, Mary. So I mean, who knows? I don't know. Maybe you can have it. No, that's a long time, and I don't know if I would have even made it that long, to be quite honest with you.
No,
So
I absolutely would not have.
maybe a little liquid courage back in the day. I don't know. Nevertheless, excited to talk about other kind of courage, I guess, if you will. And that's just in how we lead and those types of things. We've had several conversations over the past year and a half. This topic is a big deal to me. That is within servant leadership. But I love what we're going to get to chat about today with our special guest, of how we apply this type of mindset in the midst of things such as company restructuring. I know that is something that is a constant that's becoming constant in industry. So how do you navigate through, and how do you do that well? So with that, Mary, why don't you introduce our guest for today on this topic?
I would love to welcome our guest, Nick Casale. He's a PharmD MBA, and he has a master's degree in pharmaceutical outcomes and policy. His PharmD is from the University of Pittsburgh, and the master's degree is from the University of Florida. So I don't know whether that makes you, are you a Pennsylvania native or Florida native?
Pennsylvania native that's living in Florida.
Gotcha. Okay. So Nick is currently the director of U.S. Field Medical, overseeing the MSL team and the medical value liaison team within Indivior, where he's been for the last 12 years. He is a leader of other leaders. So he's a second line leader with a pretty sizable team there under him. So we're going to learn more about Nick with a couple of our hot seat questions. And so for our guests who maybe haven't seen this before, we're going to learn a little bit more about Nick through a couple of questions. So the one question everybody who does listen expects every time is, what is your walk-up song? We were actually talking before we started about his son playing baseball. So what would your walk-up song be?
I think let's get this party started.
Like the Black Eyed Peas?
There you go. Yeah, Black Eyed
I
Peas.
like it. I like it. Okay. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Well, he's right behind me there, so dog person.
Oh, is that a golden doodle?
He's a Wheaton Terrier.
Oh, I've never heard of one of those.
I
And his
have
name
no
is
idea
Tito.
what that means.
Tito.
What's his name?
Oh my goodness.
Tito.
Tito, like the vodka made in Austin.
Yes. A funny story with that. My neighbor got his twin and named him Miller for Miller Lite. So
Oh,
ours is
gotcha.
named Tito for Tito's.
Very cool. I like Tito better. Little known fact: Matthew McConaughey's brother is named Miller Lite. Okay.
He's also a naturalist too, doesn't wear deodorants, and I've got a story about that at some point.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, go ahead.
Okay, vacations, beach or snow?
Beach.
Okay.
Hands down. I'm not a snow
right.
person.
Okay. Well, I guess that's why you're in the home of the snowbirds. Is that what they say
Yeah.
about Florida snowbirds? And then what is something that few people or maybe nobody knows about you that you feel comfortable sharing with us?
So my team knows this, but I have a passion for cruising, and I've been on many, many cruise-related podcasts. So with the podcast setup I have here, it's all from my time on cruise-related podcasts. So
Like
outside of
ship
pharmacy,
cruises.
yes, cruise ships, cruise lines, all of it.
Tell me more. I'm curious. What are we talking about here? Like a podcast on a cruise, or
I don't have a podcast on a cruise or a cruise line, but I've contributed to many of them. I was actually on the first cruise back after COVID, the first cruise ship that went out after the COVID pandemic. So went on the whole podcast tour then to talk about my experiences. And I've contributed to a lot of podcasts specifically about like Disney cruising and, just cruising in general. So it's another passion of mine.
what is it that you wait. What is it that you like so much about cruising? I'm curious. Is it now that you have kids, and you mentioned
yes.
Disney, I think that makes sense.
Yes.
What are the other things? Is it the excursions? Is it just sitting and doing nothing? Is it the bingo games that they play and the fun things? What is it?
Bingo.
Have
you been on a cruise?
I have.
It started back when I was in college as a spring break thing. Like I would plan cruises for my fraternity, and then it grew into more of a University of Pittsburgh thing.
Okay.
And then we actually combined with University of Florida, so we did some like dual spring break, big, had over 100 people on these cruises. And just from there, I just loved it. Like anytime I could get on a ship, I would, and just a lot of great memories from it, from college, and then even now with family. But yeah, I mean, for us living in Florida, we can drive to the port, so it avoids what I hate the most about traveling is airplanes with children. So especially my kids. So we don't have to get on an airplane. We get to visit new places, and everyone has a good time, and they have childcare services. So we can still have some adult time while the kids are having their own fun.
Even better. Even better.
Kidding. Especially on the Disney cruises. I mean, I'm sure it's like the best childcare ever.
Yes. Very, very good. Top notch.
Well, all right. We've learned a lot about Nick.
It is.
Yeah. And sorry about my nose. I had a basal cell carcinoma removed. So I have all these stitches underneath here. So you probably don't want to see that.
Oh, no worries. I've got don't apologize. I actually have a little squamous cell carcinoma I get to have removed from my neck as well too here coming. So we will be in similar company. So glad you were able to get that taken care of and fully resolved. And thanks for making time to even have a conversation with us today about this. So let's get into before we actually do, one of the things that's common practice now here on MSLead Chronicles is to start with really the key takeaways for the conversation for today. So that being said, Nick, what are your thoughts that you want to make sure that the listeners walk away with today?
Yeah, sure. I think there's the three main things really. The first is for the leaders out there. So if you're a leader and you're going through some of these transitional issues or corporate downsizings, things like that, you can balance compassion with the business decisions that occur that may be completely out of your control, right? Especially something that we just faced that we'll get into in a little bit. The second is really for the MSLs and the outcomes liaisons and the boots on the ground, the field staff that are out there, that leadership is good and can exist and still be good even through all these ups and downs and really turbulent times. And then the third is for the organization itself, that servant leadership can actually strengthen the long-term culture and engagement within the organization, even when there is a reduction. So you can still maintain that strong sense of leadership once all is said and done.
Agreed. So, Nick, tell us a little bit about your story. So, servant leadership. I think one of the things that I always, when I have conversations, it's more than just a catchphrase, and things like that. So, how
Mhm.
did you come about? Tell us a little bit about your story and how servant leadership came to the forefront of your mind, and then how you've even used that in the context of supporting medical affairs teams. Love to hear.
Yeah, sure. And when I first got into the pharmaceutical industry, I really had no intention when I became a pharmacist that I would ever even end up in the pharmaceutical industry or even in this position. So it's something that kind of happened through various, things that happened along my career. But when I first started here at Indivior 12 years ago, I was in a commercial role, and so not even medical affairs whatsoever. And I learned a lot from my first manager here, who was not a pharmacist. He was a business guy, but he led through empathy and led his entire team to do better together. So that was really my first exposure in my career of someone that was really looking out for his team, and he would fight tooth and nail for his team. And from there, when I transitioned over to medical affairs, I had the pleasure and I'm still working for probably one of the best leaders that I've ever had. And servant leadership is really one of the core foundations of her being. Like, she preaches it, she acts it, she keeps it in mind every decision she's making. And it's really helped me even get through some of the corporate downsizing that we'll talk through, because it really funnels down from her at a vice president level down to myself, leading other leaders down through this, and then having them cascaded down through their teams. So, yeah, just learning through good leaders along the way has really helped me develop in this area.
Yeah. Yeah. So servant leadership at its core, how would you, like, if you were bringing MSL to your team
Mhm.
or MBL, um, or even through the interview process, whatever that is, like, how would you define, like, what's your definition of servant leadership?
Yeah. So for me, it's someone that first and foremost leads with empathy so that
Okay.
they can truly know what the other person is going through, even during times of uncertainty. Um, those that have intellectual curiosity, those that foster a supportive and collaborative working culture that values the employee well being and the business success. So it's kind of holding those two things together to drive everything forward, to drive the team forward. And then during these times of uncertainty or change, servant leadership's really critical to continue to have a trusting environment and establish trust for especially those that may be left, and then just to continue with positive engagement moving forward. So that's what servant leadership means to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I think it's a great concept, and I think I've shared several times in my story as well too. You know, graduating pharmacy school, I was put in as a manager role in about 6 months into it, and in the retail space, and did that probably for, I don't know, 7-10 years or so. And I think I managed for 7 to 10 years. I didn't really think about it from a leadership component. And similar to you, I was introduced to this concept honestly through a leadership development program with one of the first pharmacy or from an industry standpoint, one of the companies that I was with, and an executive leadership program. And it really rocked my world in ways too. And thinking about, how to have these conversations with high driven, high functioning people that are very ambitious, some that come from a background, and I always say PhD, just from the sense of, and I've got some amazing friends that are PhDs, but think about that. I mean, they spend the last 3 or 4 years defending their work and trying to prove and have a leg up and things like that. And then how do you flip that mindset that's just been ingrained in ways, right? When it becomes to, hey, no, this is team centric. This is something that I value I value it when others are really building up the rest of the team and not just trying to prove themselves over above and all. And sometimes things are set up in ways where it's just natural to go that direction. And so it's kind of it's countercultural in ways, but it's really liberating when your team buys into that, and some true magic can happen. So fully agree with the approach. I think it's definitely transformational. What are some things I think that are practical in ways that set you up for when those times come, right? So the foundation, the building blocks, if you will, for those times of uncertainty. Can you talk a little bit about that? Do you have any experiences you want to share?
Yeah, sure. And I think, especially for what we just went through, which is a pretty major restructure of my team within U.S. medical affairs, it's really difficult because I truly care about everyone that's on my team, whether they report to me directly or up through, another manager that ultimately reports through me. And, I said this to each of them. I played a part in hiring each of them into this organization. So everybody, because really when I started here 12 years ago, we were a much smaller organization. So kind of building that medical affairs function from the ground up. So I feel, somewhat personally responsible for bringing people into this type of role, into this space, making sure that they are, love their job, do meet our goals, meet our mission. And when something like a restructure happens, that's kind of out of our control, immediate control, it affects people that we value and care about, especially that are on my team. But I think for those that are impacted by something like this, and like leading with that servant leadership mentality, that you're able to express the gratitude and appreciation for those that have been on your team and have been contributing members for all these years. Like some people that unfortunately were impacted by this were with me for the past 6 years.
Wow.
So, and made great contributions. So that shouldn't go like unnoticed or uncalled out. And they made some really positive impacts in the patients that we're serving. And in our space, we're serving people that suffer from opioid use disorder. So it's a really, it's a hard space, hard treatment area to be in. And I know everyone on my team contributed to helping those patients that are in the most need, that are in really bad parts of their life. And for those on my team that were able to stay, it's important just to encourage them that we have to continue to support our mission within medical affairs, even though it might look a little bit different now. but it's still to serve the patients that we're working for, and communicating all the different outcomes and scientific information that our teams test with, communicating with, and do it exceptionally well. Like that bar doesn't change just because there's been a restructure. Um, so I think those of us that are in medical affairs are attracted to this profession because it helps us take science and move it in a positive direction to help have that impact in patients' lives. And I think we have the view of that even more so than the commercial function, that we really see how it affects the patient, and that is kind of at the core of all this. So, anyways, that's just like how leading through this time of challenge, time of restructure, and how we care about everyone on the team, whether they're here with us or not.
I think care is
Yes.
really important. Yeah, care is
I'm sorry.
really important. If not, I mean, how do you a couple of things. Number one, 6 years, having somebody on your team for 6 years, that's a great statement in yourself, knowing
Right.
that the average lifespan of an MSL is probably 3 years, maybe. Mary, you'd probably
Maybe
have more data
2.
on that. Maybe
Two, yeah.
two, right?
Mhm.
I mean, by
Especially,
their choice. I mean, what we see
yes,
people move.
yes. So you've been providing something that is attractive and making wanting people to stay. So congratulations to you on that, for setting it up that way. The second thing I would say is, when these things come, I mean, how do you make it not feel like it's just it's a business transaction or a business decision,
Right.
instead of, I mean, there are people that are behind this as well too, and I think that's where leaders and this type of philosophy really pulls that through, that people component as well too. Not only for the
Mhm.
people that are exiting out, but the people that are going to stay. Like, why would I want to continue to stay if this
Right.
is the feeling? So they've got to know that their value is more than just something that can be seen on a business statement or those types of things as well too. So really commend you for the approach that you've taken with your team.
Yeah, and you've touched on like 2 or 3 things that I really want to unpack. When
Sure.
Nick was talking a minute ago, I'm like, I want to talk about that. I mean, so thinking about how, in your leadership and the level that you're in right now, you're a people leader, you're an enterprise leader, so how do you go about balancing some of the realities of this, my part of the business I'm managing, um, like, meaning like, leading with your heart while you're trying to balance your organizational, your enterprise responsibilities at the same time.
Hmm. Well, especially for those that remain within the organization, I feel like everyone goes through this change curve, right? I don't know if you all have heard about the change curve, but it's something that I've been spending a lot of time on recently. And I think it not only does it affect the people that are remaining, but it affects the people that were impacted too. Because these sort of restructures, right, and can come all of a sudden, or they can come with more transparency and notice, or it can kind of be a mixture of both, right? So they're both fine approaches depending on how the business wants to accomplish it. But anyways, this change curve, it starts with shock, right, and ends with integration. So, and just to run through some of the steps real fast: shock, denial, anger, blame, fear and bargaining, depression, exploration, decision, and integration. Right. So once you're on the upper end of that curve, exploration, decision, integration, whether you're displaced or not, that's really where, for those that are remaining, buy fully in to the mission and to what the new team has to accomplish. And for those that are displaced, same thing. Once you get to that bottom and then can look forward to the exploration, decision, integration, everything's just going to be fine, right? Because even right now with exploration, I know some of my former team has been in contact with Mary and her services. So they're in that exploration phase. So just right there, they are hopefully on the upward trend of the change curve. And eventually, I'm hoping all of them have to make great decisions, right? Where do I go next to contribute as a medical affairs employee in my next venture? And then finally, integration, like integrating with that new team and contributing just as much as they did on my team. That's where I hope everyone gets to, whether they're displaced or not. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that one out there just so everyone kind of look it up and see the change curve. 'Cause it is something that I've been going through personally myself too. Because especially when they first tell you that there's going to be a restructure, I think everyone's first reaction is kind of shock, right? That you don't really expect something like that to happen. Um, and then going into, oh no, like why would they do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? You're thinking about what you do in your role within the entire company, and you're kind of in that stage of denial, and then going into those downward ones, right? Like anger and blame, like who could have done this? Was it this person? Was it that person? Why do we get to this point? And then almost bargaining, like, oh, maybe I can do this to maintain more headcount or whatever. But eventually, we all get above the bottom and get back into integration. So that's kind of what I like to point out to everyone is there's this change curve, and we're all on the ride.
When you're in leadership, at your level or higher, or what, clearly somebody knows this is going to happen,
Mhm.
or has an anticipation this is going to happen. Um, how do you, not necessarily you, but leaders in general, um, come about the decision of how much heads up should we as an organization give these folks, or is it better to spring it on them and rip the Band-Aid off?
Yeah, I know it's a tough decision, right? Like, and I think both strategies have their pros and cons, and I've seen it done both ways just in my time being here, and I'm sure you all have your own experiences seeing what happens during these restructures or team downsizings, things like that. But uh, I mean, the decision to go either way, I mean, of course, that's even above myself, right? At like an executive leadership level. But our executive leadership has made it very clear, since we're a publicly traded company, that we are on this multi-year operational roadmap that's maximizing our potential, maximizing our business in order to make a positive difference in the lives of the people that are living with OUD. And to get to that end stage, there are some changes that impact the organization across, not just medical affairs, but across all functions. So, I should make that clear. It's not just us within medical affairs that are targeted or whatever. Like for this, it was a company wide sort of look into every area in the company on operational efficiency and what's delivering the best for the company.
So that's interesting because I only work in field medical. It's like, oh, I didn't realize anybody else was
Yeah.
impacted. I just think about our people. So
Right.
Yeah, I
yeah,
don't know if there's a right or wrong way. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole thing is just horrible. I mean, in ways when it's, I say horrible. It ultimately, I guess, for the business standpoint, it's a good, or it, the business is doing it, what they think is right by, where the organization needs to go to be successful and to maximize impact, like you stated. I think, I know from my experience, I've had both. I've had one where there was an announcement by the CEO that it was going to be a 1-year process. It was and going level by level, and it's like, how do you how do you ensure your teams are successful and continue to drive impact and want to do those things, knowing that they could be on the chopping block the next, or with the next round, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's and we can say that because I think we would agree. I mean, we hire really good people that want to do the right thing and be ethical, I think. But the reality is, well, at the same time is, hey, I know that there are 6 spots that are going to be available. There are likely going to be 6 spots out of a team of 10. And so there's a really good chance I'm going to be impacted. So having that operate in the back of your mind and going on for a long time can be really detrimental. At the same time, it can give you an opportunity to at least be aware of having conversations with, I mean, and I think, Nick, you probably, I'm guessing you may have the same mindsets. If not, that's fine too. But like, even in my interviewing process, it's more, I try to communicate that I care more about the person than the position itself, and I'm going to be invested in them long term, because people come and go, and jobs come and go all the time, and I think it's tough. But if you had that long time, maybe there's an opportunity to have conversations with the hiring or with your boss as well too, on, how do I navigate through this, and you can help them give different options as well too, as far as just investment in them first, so they can see, not necessarily giving away any specific information, but then still being able to be a mentor to them, to help set them up their career path long term. So,
I can
but
tell
then,
you that, since I talked to so many MSLs who are employed and some that are getting caught in a restructuring, that they are going to react in a couple of different ways, and it may be, along the continuum of the change curve, which I'm very interested in. I'm going to check that out. But some feel major resentment towards their leadership, like, and that's where they stay on the curve. I hate my leader. I can't believe they did this to me. Look at all I've done. Why me? That should have been somebody else. But I don't know. Something is different with you and your leadership team, because the people on your team that we have talked to are the most calm. They're not, nobody's panicking or freaking out. So somebody has instilled a great amount of confidence in them. I mean, I'm guessing that's coming from you. And they're not worried. They're interviewing very well.
right.
I let Nick know before we got started, we've already found 2 of them new jobs. Great jobs, by the way. And we're helping all of the ones that we can, but they're all so, like, emotionally stable, no resentment. No, I can't believe this happened to me. And maybe they just went through it really quickly, but I think that comes from above them, as well as within them. And so I just got it.
I mean, I let my team know this before, because we knew that there was a specific date that this was all going to occur. So, before that, when we all got together for the last, big time, I let them all know, this is nobody's fault, right? It's not like we did not accomplish what we were setting out to do, or didn't deliver on something, or, that you weren't doing all that you could. You did everything that we asked you to do. We hit all of our, quote unquote metrics. We performed to the highest level. This is just a business operational thing that happens. I mean, it happens to make the business stronger in the end. So because of that, I let them all know, whether you're impacted or not, whether I was impacted or not, because at the time I didn't know whether I was going to be impacted by this or not. I'll be here for whether I'm working for this company or not. I'm still around, right? I can help introduce you to people. I'll connect you to the right people. I'll message a hiring manager if I have to, which I've done now, many, many times, to say how much this person has contributed to the team and their skill set and how much of an asset that they are. So, I think that's where the calmness is really coming from, is there are so many people around anyone that's displaced that's looking out for you. and will get you tied into the right people or make a connection for you, and everyone will be just okay. Like it'll be fine for everybody.
Yeah, and Chad's aware of this too. That for our listeners who may not be aware, I I was so taken aback because it seems like such a small thing. Probably seems like a small thing to you, Nick, but um, right after this happened, Nick posted links to the names of all the people on his team that were impacted. You know, sung their praises, tooted their horns, and I've seen you continue on LinkedIn to repost positions for people and attach people's names to things. And um, it may seem like a small thing, but I don't see a lot of hiring managers doing that
Hmm.
in this situation. And it just seems, and I'm going to use Chad's word, and he'll probably take over from here, but super intentional. That is super intentional. And that's how you're a good servant leader. So Chad, I don't know if I interrupted you there or what.
No, I did want to follow up before we kind of shift gears a little bit. The change curve, mentioning that, I think um, it's really interesting. How do it's and I don't know the answer to this, but I mean, on one thing is like how do you accelerate things as a leader of people? How can you or what are ways to really accelerate through that process for your own self? Would be one, and then also, or to be able to set aside really from that servant leadership component, right? To set aside like any kind of personal things and really be able to try to focus on the objective, take the emotional part out
Hmm.
where possible. And the second would be um, knowing that it's okay that each one of your team members could be at different spots on that change curve, and that it's okay for that. And I only think about that from just years, quite honestly, years of marriage, right? Like, I don't need you to fix me. I just need you to listen, or I need, and even though that I've been able to process something a little bit faster in a certain instance, or this, that, and this is all we need to do, or this is a plan. That's not what's needed there too. So, and I don't know if that book or talks about that, Nick, but I'm guessing that that's probably been some of your experience. Am I correct?
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't think there's a defined time period to go from even one, stage to another one. I think everyone can process these things in a shorter or a longer amount of time, just depending on potentially how impactful it was just on them as a whole. Like if it, for instance, if someone was already maybe wanting to take another step in their career and was looking for another position, or looking to take that leadership jump, and they put in their time being an MSL or a senior MSL, maybe something like this could be done in a shorter amount of time because they already kind of were through their own change curve about something that they were contemplating anyways. Whereas someone that maybe new to the organization, or this might be their first MSL job and it was cut short, that
Yeah.
can be a little bit more traumatic and take more time to process. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Really, really good. You mentioned, so a couple things on this. Number one, just a question around, one more question around supporting the team emotionally
mhm,
and professionally. And then we'll shift to like, how do you take care of, after this transitions happen, how do you take care of the remaining team? So
mhm, mhm,
you mentioned, and Mary mentioned it earlier about for those that have been impacted, trying to help socialize opportunities, LinkedIn, giving recommendations, reaching out, all that kind of stuff. So, but from a servant leader's perspective, um, from a personal level, or how have you, what are some experiences maybe that you can share on your approach to how you've personally coached or mentored the team during this time, right? I know you said staying focused on the mission, but are there other practical things that you found that were helpful as you're walking this journey?
yeah. I mean, for the people that were impacted by the decision, throughout this whole process of going through this, and ours was a longer process, right? That we had time to talk through it. it was getting everyone ready for an anticipated change. And at that time, we didn't know if it was going to be, a small change or a large change. That was yet, still to be determined. But, starting those conversations so early on really just puts it in the back of everyone's head that, what are my future aspirations? What am I looking to potentially do next? Am I missing something in my current career or in my current role that I would like to get an experience in? That maybe over the next couple of weeks or months, I have the time to do that or to learn from somebody. Those sorts of things, really, to have people be on a nice level field by the time the decision's made, so that when it is made, they can just pick themselves up and say, I've learned a lot from this experience. I've learned a lot from being in a medical affairs role for this particular disease space. I've learned some things that have worked and haven't worked from colleagues and from leaders. And, I've learned some sort of leadership strategies that I resonate with, and maybe some that I don't. And they can take that into their next venture. So that's for those displaced. For those that stay and are with your team, it's just kind of, with this team that's left, how do we reset the foundation of the team? Because it's not the same role that you had yesterday before this transition. It's, we have to look at it completely differently. And yes, the mission is the same, but maybe how we attack and, get to our end goal for that mission is going to take a different approach. And, for even me, I used to manage people that were managers that had MSL teams and outcomes teams underneath them. Now I just manage the people that are left in the field. So like my even direct position looks a little bit different now. And, do I view that as a step back in my career? No, not at all. It's just a reset of what my goal is right now. So as long as you have that in your mind too, if you're staying, if your role looks a little bit different, or you're asked to do something a little bit differently, it may not be because you did something wrong in the past. It's just that, with a new core team, some new core priorities, it just has to readjust, and you still want to get to where your mission's leading you.
So that was going to be actually you teased something that was going to be my follow-up question about this. So when you think about like the restructuring, you go from 10 to 6, but the US doesn't change, right? It's still the same. Still as many states. We're not adding anymore, at least not yet. Canada's not another state yet, any of that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm just joking. That was maybe you cut it out of this. I don't know, Mary. But seriously, I mean, I think one of the things, and I'm just curious, Nick, I don't think there's a right or wrong to this, but in this situation, did you already have kind of a new expectation for the current metrics and things that were in place, or the expectations, or how did that conversation go? Is that something that you invited your team in to help kind of propose things? I'm just curious from that aspect. How'd you handle this?
Once once this is all said and done, we know the basically the key pillars about what medical affairs is supposed to be delivering from this point forward. So once everyone has a strong foundation into these are the objectives that we are now looking to deliver, like forget everything in the past, whether it was right or wrong. This is the new initiative. Once we get behind that as a team, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, 50 states, 50 states. It is still the same, but maybe instead of doing 100 things that we were able to do as a big team, now we're going to do 10, but we're going to do them really, really good.
Yeah.
So it's really just about the focus, about what you have time to do, and what you need to deliver to the business.
Just one of the things that I see in from my side of the desk, I guess, is you either have people who are like, "Thank God, I'm okay. I'm so lucky," or they have a little bit of survivor's guilt, or they're like, I'm gonna have to do the job of 4 people. This is gonna stink. So, like, how quickly do you think that next conversation with the remaining team has to happen to prevent their minds going wild about, "Oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? What's this gonna be like?"
Mhm. Small steps, but from the jump, like immediately, right? You don't have to deliver the entire message, because especially in that first 24 to 72 hours, right? There is a lot of things happening on the change curve, right? That people are processing and experiencing, especially if they're remaining behind or remaining with the team, I should say. So, but I think from the jump to alleviate some anxiety, you have to kind of go ahead and say, you're not doing the job of 5 other people. We're just going to be doing things a little differently and focusing on different things. Getting those initial conversations out there, taking some time to rebuild the your foundation. And then once a little bit of time has passed, bringing the team together. And if you can do it in person, I would always suggest doing things like this in person, but getting the team together to go through in more detail what those objectives are and how we're all going to contribute to them, and let people voice their opinion and their concern or their approval for what this new way of working may look like. So that's kind of my view on it.
Yeah. I think the more, just from my experience in this, I think the more you can invite people into the creating a sense of ownership, and even some of the things proposed as far as like, here are the things being a couple things. Number one, being proactive with your company as well too, as far as, here are the things that we can deliver on, instead of um, it's just like having the conversations internally and always advocating for your team, showing the great work that's being done, etc. Being on the front end of that versus letting people assume what's going on, or just trusting that something's going on. The more you can get in front of that, just the same thing as if you can create a sense of ownership, and even creating some of those things with the remaining team. I think that's one of the core things for me from a servant leadership, is this sense of ownership. And how do I make sure that my team realizes it's not just a job. It's bigger than a job as well too. And part of it to be successful is instead of just giving somebody the work to do, is helping them create the work that needs to be done as well too. And um, uh, perhaps that even reinvigorates people, and helps recenter them to the mission. So um, really good thoughts that you had. So as we get close to wrapping up the conversations, which it's been really good. Thank you for being so vulnerable in this time of, or sharing about the times of uncertainty, because we all will face this, would be my guess, sometime in our career if we haven't already. What reflections, or what have you learned about yourself as a leader through this restructuring experience?
That's a good question. I've learned that you have to give people the time they need to process things differently, because it's going to affect everyone differently. For the people that are still on your team moving forward, you have to verbally and, even mentally commit yourself to them as being an empathetic servant leader moving forward, that your leadership style is not changing despite the fact that the team has, right?
Hmm.
And to get everyone just recentered and be behind you as a leader once again. And like you said, this can happen to anybody, right? Whether you're an MSL, whether you are a manager of people. And this one hit me hard, because this is really the first time that I've been through this process where I've had the people that have been affected be direct hires of mine over the past few years. We've been through this before through restructurings. I guess the difference is last time we went through something like this, I was just or I shouldn't say just, I was a field facing outcomes liaison in managed care, working with payers. So I didn't have people that I hired or reported to me that were directly impacted by this. Whereas now I feel like I've learned some additional empathy because now I know, they're going through a hard time, and I'll do whatever I can to make sure that each of them lands somewhere where they can be effective again. And that's kind of my goal in the end of this. I have an Excel list for every single person on my team that was affected by this, and where they're placed, or what I've referred them to, or what someone on my team has referred them to. And I'm not going to be done with this until every person on that spreadsheet is highlighted green, saying they've been placed in a new job. So, like, I still think about it, even though they don't report to me. But I've learned that additional level of empathy going through this.
Leadership style and leadership values should be independent of the circumstance that you're going through, right? I think it's at the core of really that's what really separates the good from the great, or the managers from leaders, right? And thanks for sharing and challenging me in many ways, Nick, about that. Your passion for your people exudes from you, and it's authentic. And this is our first time that we've been able to connect, and it seems abundantly clear. So thanks for making time today to have this conversation. And if anybody, if there are any leaders out there that may be having or facing similar circumstances, what might be a way or is there a way that they could potentially connect with you?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with me there through LinkedIn. I have that up on my screen basically all throughout the day, especially in the time that we're in right now. I've never used LinkedIn so much in my entire career, but that's probably the best way to connect with me. Perfect. And to reach out to me. And I try to go to some of the MSL related conferences throughout the year, so catch me there.
Awesome.
Will you
Nick.
be in Denver early next year for the MAPS meeting?
I plan to be in MAPS.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will look forward to seeing you there.
I hope to be there as well too.
Yay. If I may, any hiring managers who are out there watching or listening to this, I would definitely encourage you to connect with Nick, because if you are looking to hire somebody, it's possible that one of his flock might be a great fit for you.
That's right.
Wow. Talk about servant leadership. Mary Morton bringing it when she could just say, hey, send them to me and then I'll take care of them. She's saying, hey, you can even just go directly to him. That's you're caring about people as well too, Mary.
Well, not all of these companies are using a recruiter or are able to.
That's fair.
I refer people for free all the time.
I know you do.
I mean,
I was trying to give you a passive aggressive compliment, Mary. So just take it.
Never heard of such a thing.
I know,
a passive aggressive compliment. I'll take it. If the word compliment is in it and it's coming from Chad Fellers, I will take it.
Wow. And on that note, Nick, thanks again for making time. Look forward to connecting with you again. Sure. Hearing how
we're going to have him on for our cruise themed episode.
Yeah,
we're going to learn all there is to learn about cruises.
Apparently, MSLead Chronicle Cruise. Maybe we can figure out something, Mary.
I like
CE
that.
on a cruise ship. How about that?
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, listeners, for joining us for another casual conversation here at MSLead Chronicles, where leaders learn from leaders. Remember, leaders don't develop in isolation. So until then, lean in, learn from others, and until then, we will see you next time.